One of the first mass-produced books in America, the Scarlet Letter sold 2,500 volumes within 10 days. Since its publication in 1850, the Scarlet Letter has been translated into 21 languages. Henry James described it as the first book published within the United States that at last might be sent to Europe as exquisite in quality as anything that had been received, and the best of it was the thing was absolutely American. It belonged to the soil, to the air. It came out of the very heart of New England. D.H. Lawrence stated that there could be no more perfect work of the American imagination than the Scarlet Letter. The plot of the romance of the Scarlet Letter is as simple as it is universal, and it is as singular as it is powerful. At its opening, Hester Prynne stands pilloried with her infant, Pearl, on a scaffold erected to display her as the sin of adultery made manifest. Hester sacrificed herself to the Puritans' public condemnation to protect the name and reputation of her lover, the minister, Arthur Dimmesdale. Roger Chillingworth, as Hester's estranged husband Roger Prynne now called himself, returned to Old Boston on the day of Hester's public shame and vowed to discover the name of the man who had cuckolded him. Clearly, this romance was destined not to end happily. And sure enough, just when we thought and hoped those forlorn lovers would escape to Europe and start life anew, Arthur Dimmesdale declared his preference for the Puritan orthodoxy over a lifetime with Hester and Pearl. After mounting that iconic scaffold Hester had ascended at the beginning of the romance, Dimmesdale used the revelation of the Scarlet Letter imprinted on his breast so as to escape from Chillingworth's private vengeance and the Puritans' public punishment, not to mention a lifetime of familial devotion to Hester and Pearl. At the romance's conclusion, mother and daughter stood on the same scaffold they occupied in the opening, now permanently abandoned by the man who was lover, husband, father. The Scarlet Letter displayed the central features Richard Chase associated with the American romance: freedom from the ordinary novelistic requirements of verisimilitude, development, and continuity. Hawthorne described the locus of his romance as the production of a somewhere in between the real world and fairyland, where the actual and the imaginary might imbue one another with the nature of the other. In the romance proper, Arthur Dimmesdale's sexual drive seems so attenuated that, were it not for the fact of Pearl's birth, the reader might not have suspected him capable of carnal intimacy at all. But Hawthorne's vicarious romance with the Scarlet Letter reignited his passionate commitment to the calling that reintegrated him to the institutions of life and letters. In the Custom House preface, Hawthorne described the romance of the Scarlet Letter as in part an effort to undo the curse a woman that a Puritan ancestor had accused of witchcraft, thereafter laid on the entire Hawthorne lineage. Hester Prynne undid that ancestral curse when she altered the letter of the Puritan law. When members of the Puritan community recognized the difference between Hester's love and the adultery she was compelled to personify, Hester broke several of the spells: patriarchy, dogma, authoritarianism, that had entranced the townspeople of Old Boston. Hester turned the Scarlet Letter into the DNA of a new order of relationality, predisposed to help others in need without asking for the humblest title to a share in the world's privileges. Hester's powers of sympathy extended the bonds of kinship to acknowledge her sisterhood with the entire race of man. No longer their pretext for an ongoing sermon of shame, the Puritan townspeople now learned to claim Hester's scarlet letter as a source of the ties of affection through which they now felt bound to one another. Perhaps that is why readers cannot let Hawthorne's romance go.